So I was just going to talk a little bit about having really long hair, and maybe give some people some tips of how to deal with it and avoid embarrassing situations. So yeah, I guess the first one would be if you're like giving someone a hug or a kiss and they've got stubble, you need to make sure that afterwards you take a really nice big long step away from them. And you have to measure the length of step by how long your hair is, because quite often, like, I've given someone a kiss on the cheek and then my hair's got attached to their stubble, and then I take a step away and I'm like still attached, and then I take another step away and I'm still attached, and I can be really quite far away from them and still be attached. So you have to kind of subtly it's kind of like that to sort of bring your hair back to you. So that's yeah, maybe you need to calculate how long your hair is, like maybe at home, not like when the other person's there, like it's a private thing, and then work that out. So something else is, depending on how long your hair is, if you're really drunk and you go to the loo, I mean, maybe I'm being overcautious, but sometimes it's good to just like roll it up and tuck it in your cleavage or in your jumper, because it'd be really awful if you accidentally weed on it, or worse. So it's always good to just bear that in mind. Tie it back when you're cooking. And I don't understand, because Nigella Lawson always has her hair down, and I just always think, but she's going to molt like everyone else, and then, you know, you don't want to be eating one of her dishes and be like, that was nice. So always tie your hair back. If you work with children, tie it up, and just be aware, because sometimes if you've got really long hair, it can, you know, you don't really feel it. And once I was sitting with a group of children and my feet were going numb, so I just sort of shifted, and then I felt this tension on my head, and a child had my hair in their mouth, and I just sort of went, "Oh, James, sweetheart, could you just take my hair out of your mouth, please?" And he was like, "Okay," and he'd been eating a biscuit and there was just crumbs all over it, and it really made me feel quite ill. So yeah, that's why I plait it now when I teach. Also, sticky hands as well. Like yogurt, you don't want yogurt in your hair. Yogurt's the main culprit. Yeah, and you don't want to get chewing gum in your hair. That's never happened to me, but it is a nightmare. And because the way you get chewing gum off is that you normally put something in the freezer, but you can't really do that with your hair, I don't think. Peanut butter, maybe. I've heard that works. And yeah, the other thing is, I said keep it back when you're cooking because of the hair in the food, but also be really careful sometimes if I'm just cooking for me and I like open the oven and take something out, and then I'm not concentrating, and I shut my hair in the oven door, and that's quite painful, and I also risk burning it. Oh, and if you're in a romantic situation, also just make sure to free your hair before the person that you're in bed with falls asleep, so that you're not kind of stuck, which has happened before. You know, if I like roll over and my hair's like there, and then they fall asleep, and then I can't, and then I don't know whether to wake them up or just sort of roll. But then if your head's pinned, you don't want to like move too much, so that can be difficult. I think that's probably it. Thank you.
Could you show us how long your hair is?
Well, I feel like a traitor now because I've actually just had my hair cut. I've had about this much hair cut off just a couple of days ago, which is, yeah, the size of a small fish, I guess. But it's down to, oh God, it feels really short now. Yeah, so it used to be sort of just about weeable on in theory. Yeah.